Do you write brilliant loops, but then have no idea how to turn them into full 6-minute tracks? That's what today's video is about. We're covering how to go from a loop to a full arrangement and a little bit in between, which I like to call creating scenes. The concept of writing a storyboard, we have each of our scenes and we're allowing our creativity to flourish by painting each scene in a different variation of the original loop. Now, watch the full video so you can understand what I'm talking about. I hope you guys enjoy. Leave a comment if this is helpful, and yeah, peace. Boom! We're back again. We're going to be developing this loop now. When I made it yesterday, I'll be honest with you, like, I wasn't really feeling it, but I heard it in my headphones and I was like, nah, it's good. It's just the bass is a bit muddy in the studio. So I'm liking it now. I'm feeling a lot more positive towards where the direction of the track's going to go, and that's really important. I think it's comfortable to accept that maybe a track either isn't worth finishing and binning off at this stage, or you're going to plow through and continue with it because you know it's going to benefit you in the long run, or, you know, it might get better at some stage. But if at this stage you're just not liking it whatsoever, then just bin it off and move on. But I've come back to it fresh ears. So what section are we in now? We're in the development section. What are we going to do? We're going to develop the groove and the hooks. So let's develop the groove first. So the drums and the low end. But I don't really see any need to develop the low end. I just think I do want to keep this track a little bit more on the simple side than go all complex with it. So I might add a few bass hits here and there as I develop the hook. But for now, we'll develop just the groove and leave the bass alone. So really, let's listen again. So there is a speed garage pack I've got that has got a couple drum loops that we could use. So where even is it? Let me just type in hyper, because yeah, nah, that's not what we're after. We are after the actual sample pack. Yeah, this one, drum loops. Wow. Oh, the fuck. Right, cool. So I kind of just want a drum loop that's like quite big and full. That one, the Hypno one, I like that. So where are the hats from that? I like that. Cool. So again, same process as yesterday. Slice X, perfect all regions, and quantize. But I might not use all the hits. I might just keep... Let's have a listen. Nah, I just kind of want the hats. So let's just try and extract the hats. Cool. I know I'm doing this a really slow way, but... yeah, that's cool. But I am going to put these on the 6th grid because I just, from making these kind of tracks, I know that it'll sound good. Cool. I don't really want to overcomplicate it at this stage, so I'm happy with that. I might even change the pan of it just because. Why not? Yeah. I like that. It just adds a bit of variation. It stops it from getting too stale. So yeah. I'm trying to make sure I'm speaking into the mic properly today as well, because I feel like yesterday I was kind of here, there, bloody everywhere. But we're active with it. Yeah, cool. So it's adding a lot of energy, and it's kind of giving it that speed garage feel to it a bit. Not too much. Yeah, I do kind of want it to just be high, so. Cool. I think what makes this track really cool is the way the bass is. I was picking a really good bass loop sample, and obviously there's a lot of different kind of hits in it, so it does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So let's move on now, because in different tracks I might develop the groove more, but because I want to keep this simple and a little bit more on the minimal side, I'm just going to move on, and I can accept that, you know, when the track picks up in energy, this is what we're going to bring in. So cool with that. So one thing that I noticed when I was listening yesterday is it sounds really cool, the track like this sometimes. So like, let's do it like this. I guess you can say I have a higher source. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection to the funk. I guess you can say I have a higher source. Like that. That's how I was kind of flicking through it yesterday, and I was like, right, those are our scenes. So now, what do I mean by scenes? This is quite, I don't know if this is spoken about a lot, but it's not a concept I've come up with. Essentially, we're going to come up with like 5 or 6 different sort of scenes and storyboards that we can add stuff to and create a different vibe in each scene, so that when we come to arrange, all we're doing is copy and pasting the scenes. So yeah, let's do our scenes now. So another shortcut, split by channel. I've just turned, so let me just redo that. You see how that's our big loop and it's full of everything. Usually you'd have to copy and paste, but split by channel just does it for you. Obviously it's going to stack it now, but we can, you know, get rid of that and just put it in one by one. Let me just do this first though. There we go. Cool. So yeah, once I've done this, we will start to separate it scene by scene. Obviously, we like to have our full chunky, blocky one, and I would sort of say you want to separate these scenes by energy, because obviously it's cool saying, oh, you've got all these scenes, but what does each one mean, really? And what each scene sort of should mean is a different vibe within the track. And the vibe doesn't have to be completely different. It just has to be a bit of a different, you know, chapter within the book, if you will. That's kind of what we're going for here. We're not aiming to create the same loop over and over again in our track. We've got different scenes, different moods, different energies. You could even do it by mood if you wanted, like happy mood of the track, sad mood, moody mood, whatever the fuck you want. But I like to do it by energy because I feel like it makes it a bit more clear what we're looking for. So we've got a high energy bit here, innit? So I'm going to just extend it out by another 16 bars and just ensure that we've kind of got a 16 bar. Like when the drop hits, this is what we're going to be going into. even just... Just that little bit there, I think, could be cool. Hopefully it'll make sense what I'm trying to do. Yeah, is that just before? Yeah, cool. Yeah, have it there. Cool. So I'm just scheming. I'm just thinking of ideas. Obviously, let's just do what I showed you a lot before. So have just this one, the bit more of a broken down kind of feel to it. Yeah, I like that. And then we could even maybe have one without the switch on and then just do like this. So just copy this over. I guess you could say I have a higher source. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. I guess you could say I have a... And then you could go into a different scene there, I guess. But we sort of see how that's got loads of energy, then we drop off in energy here. And we could imagine some pads or chords here. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down. And sort of get things to sort of fill in there. And then we can just move on, maybe even just have just the drums now, but not the high energy bit. And we can sort of think, right, how else can we characterize the track? So from here, I'm going to name stuff so that we're not getting lost. And if we come back to it another time, we're not completely clueless. So high energy. Let's call this one low energy. Let's call this one medium energy, and let's call this one break 1. I think for now we can work with what we've got here and start adding stuff. We might make a break 2 as well, but I think what's important in this stage, especially if you're making the track more minimal, find elements that do a lot, or find 2 elements that bounce off each other and do a lot, rather than thinking like, oh, I've got a layer, I've got a layer, I've got a layer. What can you add that changes the emotion you feel when listening? Find good samples that change the mood. So let's go to our inspiration folder. So let's see if we can do anything with this. LE-M1, right? Low energy M1 organ. Let's see if we can add anything with this. So our track is in 4A. I presume this is a... Let me have a look. I presume that this is in F already. So if you want to check that, go in Edit in Audio Editor, detect pitch region. So it is in F. So that's what I meant the whole time. I was just fucking waffling, but yeah, it's F. So that's playing an F. So if we want it to play a C, what I basically did there was, so because this is an F, I want to make sure that when I'm hitting C on the keyboard, it's playing C. Because if we was to hit C as it normally is, that would be F. So I've right clicked on this bit here and made that like the root note, so that it knows that the sample itself is playing F, so that when I hit there it's C. But now it's going slower, so stretch pro, reset, and it will do it. Obviously the lower down you go, it's going to get a bit more muddy, but yeah, man. So let's have a play around with this in F minor. Let's sort of see what can we come up with that's cool. I'm liking a bit more higher up the scale. Let's have a look. Scale note. F, view. What scale should we do? Scale highlighting. F, not F major. F minor blues. Or F minor harmonic. Let's just try that. Let's try and reverse it, like so it's climbing back down on the way down, maybe. A sharp. Is that going to stay at F? No, it's going to go to G. That's going to go to F. That's going to go to C sharp. And that's going to go to F. Don't want to clog it up too much, because we could then now, in the gaps that this is left, have a little response going. If you don't know what I mean by that, I mean call and response. This is asking a question, we can answer it in this little gaps here. So maybe let's just try that. Obviously, this one we want to just be playing at C. And let's even play around with the sixth notes. It's cool, so I don't mind that. And then have something else answer the second line. Maybe, I don't know how well this will do, to be honest, but it just feels that little bit too happy, but could work. Let's just try. Because I do want to keep up the little bit of moodiness we've got going on. Sorry, I know I'm not talking, but basically, if you can hear, you can sort of see how it's a little bit off the grid. Basically, I just don't think this one's going to work. I just think at this stage, if it's not working, don't waste time trying to make it work. Just move on and find a better sound, because don't always just go for the first sound you find, like I've done there. So, if we can go 4A. Find something that's a little bit more similar to this sort of response, you know, the vocal.
Love to all those.
Beep, 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 beep.
What? Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep.
So now the beauty of doing this is that, you know, when you find something that you think would go well in a different scene, you can just go and drag it to the different scene and sort of worry about it later. So I think this would go good in this scene here. Cool, I'm really liking that for that scene. I think it ties it down. With a bit more processing on that, that'll be cool. But for now, we just need to find that little gap filler there. So this is what I'm thinking now. I think it might be worth going in a VST now. I've tried to steer away from it a little bit, but I think something from Meat Beats will be really cool. Yeah, they're a bit full on them, aren't they? Cool. Maybe let's just try this one. That's a bit better now.
I guess you could say
Cool. Again, with a bit of processing, a bit of delay on that, that'll be cool. So let's do that now. Let's kind of make everything a bit more coherent. So, first thing I do always with any synth is add a delay on it, especially stabs. That's cool, I like that. I'm using the high pass instead of the low pass because sometimes it sounds really cool, like now. Maybe a bit of feedback distortion.
I guess you could say
Maybe a little bit less of that actually. But yeah, it's all about tweaking, playing around, sort of finding what works. what else did we do before? We had this, didn't we? So I think it could do with like a really big delay. So I'm going to go, I might even go UAD Galaxy Echo, see if there's anything cool in here. I just want something big and like kind of similar to the other vocal, to the funk vocal. When I'm picking these kind of delays, I do kind of like to just stick in solo. I won't recommend that all the time. Fucking hell, I didn't mean to click that one. That's cool. That's cool. I think it just needs to be a little bit more prominent. Fucking hell, that's how scary that. Yeah, cool. I like that. It's going to ring out a little bit, so just going to add this on for safe measure. I would probably do this anyways, but see how it's still ringing out. It's because of the feedback. The feedback on the tape echo, obviously you can't really get it accurate to a specific like measurement, so you kind of you're kind of guessing in a way what percent it is. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. What about the actual M1? Obviously needs a bit of EQ, but how can we go a bit crazy with it? I was thinking add a chorus, in my humble opinion. Let's have a look. Will the chorus actually do this any favours or not? It's good to add stuff like phaser, flanger, chorus to your synths because it adds a bit of thickness and it could give it a bit of width like the Tal chorus does. But be careful because it might ruin mono compatibility. Yeah, I think a cool delay on the end of that would be nice. Let's just add a simple one. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think it's adding a cool vibe to it. Let's see what these sound like in the breakdown.
You know, but everybody's not down. I guess you can say I have
Part of me feels like now this section is fine and we should probably move on to this section, but I am thinking this fem basso probably could do with being in a different section, so I'm just going to split by channel, get rid of it from here. So obviously we're going to keep these two. And we could even just repeat this. probably a bit better. That's a little bit more controlled. But it's always good to test these things in this stage, because that's what this stage is about. It's trial and error, trial and error. What works, what doesn't. Get creative. Use the effects. Obviously, I know I've not talked a lot in this section, but that's purely because I'm so locked into trying to get the creative juices flowing. And I think that's kind of what I want you lot to take from this episode, is definitely be creative in this phase. Don't see it as I've got to layer this, I've got to layer that, this is just stopping me from finishing tracks. This is what will help your tracks stop being stale. And in a way, it's kind of like you're making a bunch of different loops, a bunch of different characterizations of the track. But yeah. Might even just have it repeat over and over again. Let's have a listen to what that would sound like.
Everybody's not down with this connection. Everybody's not down with this connection. I guess you could say I never.
Cool. I think for now, I'm going to come back to this tomorrow and develop these sections here more, these two, because obviously we've only really focused on that one, whereas these two are going to need some love. So yeah, back tomorrow with that one.